Assalamu alaikum everyone. Wishing you a blessed Jummah. And this is like my first live broadcast where I shall be reviewing the latest projects that were done by Marvel Cinematic Universe, Masters of the Universe, the latest series on Netflix. And in that respect, I will be engaging with all of you guys. I hope you guys join me. And share your questions and much more. So I'm really glad because, first of all, my apologies that I started a bit late by a few minutes because I was trying to do the setup, and in that respect it took a bit longer than expected. We have been coming across so many projects that are related to our favorite characters since this year has started, and in that respect the recent projects that we have gone through, one of them happens to be Loki, the other one being Black Widow. Both of these projects are from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then for those of us who are fans of this 80s character He-Man, we have been entertained with Masters of the Universe series on Netflix. Let's begin with Loki. Loki series, I mean, he is one of the most interesting Marvel villains. As somebody who is scheming alongside Thanos, is a very refreshing take, because in comic books Loki does not have much of an interaction with Thanos. He is more involved with characters that are like Doctor Doom, and in that respect the villains that we find in the mystic realm, whether we are talking about the unseen dimensions, Loki is a totally different person when we see or what we read in comics. Of course, a lot of it has been influenced from the comics itself. But coming back to the series was predictable. Why it was predictable? Because the moment we see Loki getting hold of the cosmic cube and then basically disappearing in Avengers Endgame, we knew that the timeline is going to get disturbed. And the timeline, when we hear the word timeline, the first name that comes to our mind is not the Beyonder, it's not Doctor Doom, it's not Dormammu, it is Kang the Conqueror, who is in Marvel Comics Nathaniel Richards. Nathaniel Richards is the father of Reed Richards. Nathaniel Richards, who becomes Kang, is the scientist who has been referred in Loki series by another variant of Kang as the demonic or the evil version of him, or the evil variant of him from the 31st century. The series was predictable, very predictable, because if you're talking about timelines and you have the TVA, okay, and in that respect you have Loki, he is working with the TVA to maintain or preserve the timeline, it was inevitable that Kang the Conqueror will make an appearance. It was not suspense like WandaVision. In WandaVision, every episode was basically giving us valid references. Like, for example, when we find Monica Rambeau talking about an aerospace engineer, so we immediately remembered Reed Richards. When we saw Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, not from the Avengers movies, too much of it was speculation in the sense that every time we saw something happening, something creepy, something mystical, like that flamingo bird that was in Wanda's house, we were thinking maybe this is Mephisto. Of course, it wasn't established, but by the end of the day, every episode was a pleasure to watch. Unlike Loki, In Loki, it started out really well. The pattern was pretty much similar to what we saw in Captain America and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The first 3 episodes build up the excitement and then they keep on dragging. Now, my verdict, this series didn't deserve to have 6 episodes. It could have ended in 3 episodes. It's very obvious that Lady Loki was not Loki. She is Enchantress. Okay, and in that respect, she was that may have created the hype briefly, but each and every one of us who reads comics, knows comics, were aware of the fact that Kang has to make an appearance. We just had to wait through like 6 episodes for that, a complete waste of time. So now, I'm not a huge fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier series as well, even though they introduced an island in Southeast Asia called Madripoor. Madripoor is an island which is connected primarily with Wolverine, then Hydra, Captain America, even Black Widow. But of course, the MCU storyline is now different. And in that respect, that was something really good. But the moment we moved from there, the episodes kept on dragging. My opinion is that Disney should have given these projects to Netflix, because Netflix's approach towards filling the gaps in established storylines, towards redefining the characters for the modern age, is very superior compared to what I have seen in Disney. And I'd like to give some examples that what have been some of the best works for which I am a huge fan of. The Marvel's Netflix series. When I say Marvel's Netflix series, I mean to say Marvel's Daredevil, Marvel's Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Punisher, Iron Fist, Defenders. We can debate endlessly about these shows, that which one was the best of all. I perfectly accept that, and I respect everyone's opinion. But the quality of adaptation, the quality of redefining the character, the story writing, the dialogues, the way the content resonates with a comic book reader, with a fan of Daredevil, and even those who are not into comics and all this, or even MCU for that matter, if they start watching these series, they will love them. And okay, some can say that those are for a bit more mature audiences, and Disney has to produce something which is PG-13 and stuff, and most of these TV series are PG-13. I accept that, but there are a lot of projects that have been done PG-13 and they have been phenomenal. Whether we're talking about from the world of animation as a series, whether we're talking about the ones that we find like with real actors and stuff, there are countless examples. So to say the least that Disney has to cater to PG-13 audiences, that's why they have to water it down, or they have to drag, or they have to put too much comedic puns, I tend to disagree on this part. So Marvel's Netflix is one example. Then we have DC Titans. I mean, come on, the first season was amazing, the second season even more amazing. If I look at most of the CW productions, if I have to choose from them versus DC Titans, I will always select DC Titans, because the way they have approached these characters is just amazing. These are a group of sidekicks, not A-list characters, mind you. And Marv Wolfman, George Perez made an awesome comic out of it. But these guys continued their legacy by creating an awesome series that people need to watch. If you haven't watched DC's Titans, please, if you have Netflix, watch it. I highly recommend that. Then we have Transformers War for Cybertron series. Yes, there might be a lot of points for improvement, but the beauty about this series, and the reason I have included this anime property, is because Transformers are an important part of the 80s. They were their rights were managed by Hasbro in North America. For those of us who are in Jeddah, we grew up watching Marvel Hasbro productions of their animated series, whether it was Transformers or G.I. Joes. To see Transformers Generation 1 being adapted and redefined for today's age, and filling all the gaps within the origin stories, the Cybertronian wars, why Megatron is Megatron, why did he chose the dark side, and why Optimus Prime, and what were the reasons that forced the Decepticons to choose a dark path. I mean, these are the things that make you feel, keep you glued to the series itself. So, what more do you want, man? A refreshing take on the character, and at the same time, you can watch it with kids, and the way it talks about some bitter realities of life which we can relate to, even though it's focusing on the robots, is just amazing. And then taking a lead from an 80s property, we now have Masters of the Universe Netflix series, which has been produced and directed by Kevin Smith, aka who used to be Fat Man, a wonderful comic book writer and a critic, and a superhero geek like us. This guy has, a lot of people might find it really troubling that, okay, the series focused on Teela mainly, but the thing is, this is just one chapter, just like Transformers War for Cybertron is divided into 3 chapters. The latest one, Kingdom, has just been released on Netflix, so I accept that, but there is a storytelling, there is a rationale behind it, there is a build-up. People are trying to tell that, okay, fine, what happened in Eternia when certain events transpired, and we learned that the royal family is no more, Adam is no more. Where are these characters? How are they being gathered? So, and then at the same time, keeping Teela as a token character like she was in the 80s, it's a very good thing. And by the end of the day, we know for a fact that this series is going to, start building up and reintroduce He-Man, Skeletor. Again, the way they have, each and every character has been addressed properly. And so, are there any negative points on concerning Masters of the Universe? Like any other production, there are some strong points and there are some weak points. One of them is that Lieutenant Andra, I mean, why are you portraying her as a token character? Either you introduce her in a way that, she resonates with the audience, or just shelve her. Teela, taking a mainstream role, redefining the role of a female warrior, daughter of man-at-arms, very good. But again, Revelations, if any one of you or any is a He-Man fan like me, this is the weak point that we will find, that it's mostly focused on the characters other than He-Man. But it's good still. The storytelling quality, everything, it's really good. What remains is a very important movie, Black Widow. It's a prequel movie, and my biggest complaint about this movie are 2, in fact. One is bad timing. It was too late. Black Widow made an appearance in Iron Man 2. The events that transpired in MCU, ideally this movie should have come out after Captain America Civil War. Okay, if not Captain America Civil War, I could have even waited after Infinity War. But this character solo movie, it took so much of time to come in, and right now, when you watch this movie after Endgame, and with the Marvel Phase 4 starting, you just feel like, man, it's just a 2-hour movie where the character Black Widow is transitioning from Natasha Romanoff to Yelena Belova. That's one. And at the same time, the other thing that really frustrates me is that when you're talking about a discontinued program of Soviet Russia, when you want to bring in rich characters like the Red Guardian, and you have a facility like the Red Room, and then you have a notorious general like General Dreykov, I mean, is there any room for comedic puns one after the other? You wanted to change the relationship between Alexei Shotkatov, who was the first Red Guardian, not historically, but in comic books, he was the first Red Guardian created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema in the Silver Age. And this guy is the Silver Age equivalent of Captain America. To see him acting so silly, I mean, Alexei is better portrayed when he is a Soviet agent in the United States, acting as a father and a husband, and how he escapes. That is the kind of person we were looking for. Instead, once this guy goes to prison, I mean, this guy is in the far corners of Siberia and he would be having a sense of humor. Give me a break. I mean, has anyone read about Dostoevsky? You don't have that sort of thing. Unnecessary comedic puns, one after the other, one after the other. Black Widow is one of my favorite female characters. I think if I have to say who is my favorite female character after Wonder Woman, that would be Black Widow. And I, for one, did not like the movie. The plot was strong. If it had been executed properly, it would have been amazing. It had a very good message regarding the gender politics that we are seeing right now, the exploitation of women and all sorts. But everything got ruined when it was watered down. And then Taskmaster, come on, man. I mean, this is a ruthless mercenary. You had to gender swap, and to make him connected to Dreykov. I mean, Taskmaster is an important Avengers villain, and to see him being relegated only as a villain who focuses on Black Widow is just like, you know, you're not making use of the creative assets you have. It's like just using Baron von Strucker. Baron von Strucker is just shown in a small scene and that's it. This guy is the one who is leading Hydra when Red Skull is gone, and he plays a very important role in the Marvel Comics universe. And to see him as a small reference, used as a, you know, just we need to just show Baron von Strucker and that's it. This doesn't work that way. So Black Widow movie, again, I'll say it again and again and again. The plot was very good. They changed the relationship between the Red Guardian and Black Widow in comics. Red Guardian and Black Widow, meaning Alexei and Natasha, were husband and wife before they separated their ways. So they made them father and daughter relationship, and it could have been much better. I mean, as a foster father, not a real father, it could have been portrayed in a much better fashion. But this movie, in my opinion, will not be recognized as something like a critically acclaimed movie. Because if you look at it, it's not on the level of Infinity War, totally. Because Infinity War is a class of its own. It's not even on the level of Iron Man 1 or Captain America, the First Avenger, or even the Incredible Hulk movie starring Edward Norton. Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier, Infinity War, you know, they are still one of the best movies ever made. But besides them, that were not as critically acclaimed, these are the movies. And Black Widow, I don't think so, unless, you know, because of this feminist movement and everything, and all this gender politics going on, maybe the Twitter is gonna be trying to make it look like as one of the greatest movies ever, just like what people are saying for Zack Snyder's Cut. It's a good movie, but it's not something that we can, you know, take it all the way to the level of Christopher Nolan's work or Richard Donner's work for Superman. He needed more. He needed to produce more so that he can provide more grounds for his Snyderverse. But we know the politics that's behind it. So those keyboard warriors may be able to, they will try to convince that it's one of the best superhero movies, female superhero movies ever. I disagree. So thank you very much for all of those who joined in, who watched this live broadcast. I can't thank you guys enough, and I look forward to your comments. And at the same time, if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. See you next time.